This is the 11th time that this Wintersport track in Lillehammer, Norway has hosted an FIL Luge World Cup race to go along with an Olympics and a Youth Olympic Games. It's the first time any track in the world has hosted a mixed singles team competition. Hi again, everyone. I'm Tim Singer, and welcome to the first ever mixed team singles event as we are getting ready for 23 teams to take part. Moments ago, we had the doubles event, won not surprisingly by Germany, but maybe a little surprisingly by Germany team number 2, who went off first. Now, the fun thing about this event is we'll have 3 or 4 different teams made up of athletes from different nations. To tell you more about this first ever event and the lineup for today's event, I'm pleased to reintroduce from Team Canada, Caitlin Nash. Caitlin, first of all, congratulations on your 16th place finish yesterday, or something, right?
17th.
17th, okay. Well, we can live with 16th. It's official now since I said it. Here's a look at this track. And again, let's, to those people just joining in, talk a little bit about what unfolds in this team competition.
Yeah, so far this has been a really exciting introduction of this event. It's been, I think, went off pretty smoothly for the doubles, and then it should be exciting now with the men and women mixed event. The men are going to be sliding from a different start height than the women, so it'll be very interesting to see how this unfolds.
Still getting warmer here, 8.2 Celsius for those of you Celsius deficient. I think that comes out to about 37 degrees, 38 degrees Fahrenheit along the shores of Lake Mjøsa. No start record, no track record, no prior competition. And another cool thing about this is for the first time ever in any luge event, you will have teammates starting at different start areas.
Yeah, very, very exciting. I think it's going to be really cool to see how this goes off, having the men sliding from a different start height, having the women pulling reaction starts for the first time, and having both athletes hitting the paddle at the bottom. It adds a lot of new elements to this race, and it's going to be very interesting to see.
Races so far this weekend. The USA won the opening race, women's doubles. Then in women's singles, Julia Tobitz of Germany, the gold medal. We'll see her in a little bit. Men's doubles was captured by the German comeback athlete, Tony Egert, along with his new partner, Florian Mueller. Earlier today, Max Langenhahn won the men's singles, and Germany too captured the mixed doubles team. Here's the starting lineup, and they base that solely on their cumulative national performances over the course of those previous 5 races this weekend. Germany 1 will conclude things. The USA has 2 teams. Germany has 2, Austria 2, and Italy? Does Italy just have one? No, Italy has 2 as well, right? Latvia with 2, Ukraine with 2, Sweden with 2. That's very exciting on their home track. And then shortly you'll see some combined nation teams. And I'm glad about that, Caitlin. You know, I was always an advocate over the years, even in the full team relay, if you didn't have a full complement, why not hook in with other nations? I mean, we've seen Alex Ferlazzo for years just waiting for this day to happen.
I agree. We definitely want inclusivity in this sport. We want people participating. This is a very cool opportunity for smaller nations that cannot field a full relay team to be able to participate and have opportunity in another event.
And we'll touch on that as we see those teams a little later on. We're just moments away from the start of this first ever competition. Farthest north track in all of the world, although there are rumors, hey, hello to the Sweeneys who have traveled from Saranac Lake, New York to Lillehammer. There are rumors of a track being built in Sweden perhaps over the next 4 or 5 years, so that'll be interesting. That'll be a couple of hours north of here, actually. Anyway, we start things off with the lone entry from Romania. Romania also had a team in the doubles event earlier, but here is Valentin Cretu, who finished 29th. Earlier today in the men's singles, a veteran athlete, many Olympics, many years on the circuit. not necessarily the best equipment, not necessarily the fastest starter, but Valley generally puts down some pretty good lines even on these challenging tracks.
Yeah, I think it's been exciting to see how well he's been able to do coming kind of from a smaller nation, maybe not having as many resources. He always puts down some decent results here and there. So far looking like a good top section of the track, a good start time. He looks relaxed on his sled.
For a while, I know, Valentin was driving one of the DRS sleds that a lot of the Canadians use. I'm not sure if he's on that anymore, but those have been known to be fast.
I'm not sure either, but yeah, Duncan is a great sled builder. We love having him on our team. He's been a great addition so far. A little bit of a rough middle section. You saw a big skid there on the end of 13, but honestly, he did very well controlling that, and he's got it back online for this bottom section of the track.
We've seen a lot worse out of 13, and maybe the skid slowed him down enough to keep it together. So the paddle is hit. A little disappointed, Caitlin. I mean, I don't wish ill will on anyone, but that paddle just seems like there's no challenge to it.
Yeah, I know the paddles, it doesn't so far look like it's adding a huge element of difficulty. Maybe for the first weekend, that's not a bad thing. But yeah, still very exciting.
So they will set the mark. In fact, this will be a track record when they are down below. And then we expect the track record to fall a few more times. But oddly, in the doubles race, the Germans set a track record that was never broken.
Yeah, they started in first and they ended in first, which was pretty cool to see. I honestly think here for Karina, this has been quite a good run for her. I know she had some difficulties in the race yesterday, so she's going to be, I'm sure, happy with that run that she just put down.
148.174, and you don't see the track record graphic come up, but I guess the fanfare, they can enjoy the fact that they'll have it for at least 3 minutes.
Yeah, you see very early entrance to 13 there, and big skid. He was very close to the roof there on the end of 13. He's working quite hard to get it off the end of the corner, and yeah, that is not fast, unfortunately.
This track here in Lillehammer is roughly 32 years old now. It was built, of course, for the 1994 Olympic Games. And the designers of the tracks in Altenburg, Oberhof, and La Plagne, and Calgary were all consulted in the building of this. Hey, speaking of Calgary, did you ever compete there?
Yeah, I grew up training and racing in Calgary. I never raced a World Cup, but I did race junior races there. We miss it. It's definitely a big blow for our program. We do a lot of recruiting out of Calgary. It's near a big city, and yeah, it's hard for our program.
China team number 2. Yingli, Peishan Wang is waiting on just below. It's got to kind of be a weird feeling, Caitlin, that right there when they pass that women's start house, you're actually seeing the sled go by you.
Yeah, it was interesting in the test event. I think people were just kind of figuring it out, figuring out the timing, but it was very weird to be at the start and not have your teammate be with you.
I think this is going to mark the end, unless she can get back on that sled. The rule is you have to maintain contact. And she may do that with enough track left to generate a little bit. Looks like she's having trouble. It's not over yet, right?
Yeah, it looks like he's back on the sled here. There's a little bit, there's definitely time. He's high enough up on the track that he could get back on and hopefully make it to the finish, but he was sliding for quite a few corners there, so he's going to be going pretty slow.
But the key is, if this had happened out of 13, no chance to make it up the outrun to the paddle.
Definitely not. Starts to go uphill sort of right away there after 13. It's going to be moving pretty slowly up the outrun here, but he should make it.
The track workers are going to have to get him off the track pretty quickly, because there's the chance that Yingli does not make it all the way up to the finish area, right?
Yeah, that's one of the added difficulties of the relay, is if you do have a crash but you have people finishing, you need to make sure that you're getting people out of the track quickly. which is going to be the case here, but should have plenty of time, hopefully, to get out. There's lots of people around.
So obviously no shot at first place here ahead of the Romanians, but Pei Xiang Wang will try to have a nice clean run. She finished 25th yesterday. China has brought a lot of athletes onto the World Cup this year.
Yeah, China has a massive team here. It's good to see that they have got some depth in their program. They're definitely working hard to get their athletes some experience, and it's been an all right run here as well. So you can see them definitely starting to build every weekend on their performance.
Paddle hit, clock stops, 2:11.442. And a mere 23 seconds behind the leading Romanians. And now it looks like we have our biggest crowd of spectators that we've had all weekend.
Yeah, you can see they're coming off of 8 going into 9, just some big skids. And the labyrinth's tricky. It will catch you up there if you're sort of offline like that. And it looked like he was just a little bit unprepared.
And I'm guessing that Yingli is still a little farther down that walkway that leads to this finish area. Pei Xiang Wang there. And we will have another Chinese team coming up in a moment, but now you're going to hear those cowbells, because for the first and only time this weekend, the home team gets to take part in competition. Ola Brandstamoen will lead the way for Vero Tanja's Team Norway. They did not qualify in any of the other competitions.
I'm sure a very exciting opportunity for him just to participate in a race on his home track and, you know, show everyone what he can do, lay down some solid lines, and see where they end up.
Norway has never had a powerful program in the sport of luge, but off and on over the years, it has had some athletes that have contended top 15, top 20, but not for a while.
Yeah, looks like he's having an all right run here. Showing a little bit of his home track advantage, but still, even 13 is catching up people even on their home track. It's so difficult.
It chews up and spits out everyone, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Emphatic hit of the paddle and a 1.3 second advantage for Vero Tanjas of Norway.
Not the strongest start there, having some issues, not a very ideal line down the ramp, but she got it turned into the start corners. Still in the green though, however, and already 8/10 up on Romania's time, so that's interesting.
That's right. And I don't remember what Karina did. Karina had a pretty clean run, right?
Yeah, she had a clean run, but losing a little bit of time here, so she's gonna want to be looking to push her head back here in the bottom and try.
She does. Yeah, that was a veteran move coming out of 13 and putting that head back. This is going to be tight, and there wasn't a lot of tight racing in the doubles. Oh, skidding, that's going to cost them everything. The 0.03 of a second ends up being the deficit, but that could have been about 0.2 lost right there.
Yeah, it's hard to say in the bottom there, but having a big skid in the last corner, you're going uphill, that is a big time killer. And definitely not the way you want to end your run.
And of course, and maybe even especially if you're a hometown athlete used to sliding, you relax when you cross that finish line. That's when you're used to having the race over. But in the case of the woman here, the problems really occurred just as she hit the outrun.
Yeah, I know you can't let your guard down that soon, especially in this event. You still got the paddle to hit.
Well, she was skidding, yeah, but even before then. In fact, she did all she could just to get it together to hit the paddle.
100%. She did a good job correcting that mistake.
All right, we have the first of our shared nations coming up, Finland and Estonia. The Estonians waiting, but here is Walter Wikström from Team Finland, and it gives us an opportunity to let people know, if you didn't, there was an awful crash with a Finnish doubles team a couple of weeks ago during training. I'm not sure if you know much about it, Caitlin, but I did get the news late yesterday that that doubles team, they will be okay. Probably we may not see them this year, but good news that no real serious injury.
Well, Well, wishing them a speedy recovery. You never want to hear about people getting hurt, but I'm happy that they're on the mend.
All three Scandinavian nations represented in today's race in Scandinavia. Nice line there, nice exit of 13. The speed isn't the fastest we've seen by any stretch today. 76 miles per hour, but let's see the paddle hit. And another welcome to a nation we have not seen much of over the years on the World Cup, Estonia, Emma CHER.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is Emma's first weekend racing on the circuit. I think it might be, but she's doing a good job just trying to get her sled down the hill straight. She's really just looking for experience, I'm sure, and she's doing a good job.
Well, for the sport of luge, the good news is the more and more events get to be part of the Olympic Games. Women's doubles now, of course.
Oh, big hit there going into 12.
But the bad news is some of the smaller nations actually lose their opportunity. They don't have as good a shot to make it to the Olympic Games. And sometimes some of the magic of the Olympics was having a couple of athletes from small nations. Same problem, same spot. Double hit of the paddle. We assume she hit it, and the clock does stop 151.633. So third place right now. Romania went first. They hold on to the lead and still hold on to the course record. Then Norway, then the Finland-Estonia duo.
Yeah, definitely not the cleanest run from Emma there, but she did a good job keeping it, as we like to say, shiny side down there at the bottom. And, you know, she hit the paddle at the end. I'm sure that's really all she was looking for. And she had a pretty nice exit there out of 13 as well.
Cowbells ringing. Romania in the background in the lead, and now we head to the top for team number 5. Oh, nice patient waiting for the welcome back. Sweden number 2. Rasmus Moberg finished 27th yesterday in his first World Cup race. Comes from the same little island that the koalas, Tova and Svante, come from.
Yeah, it's been cool to see that Sweden they definitely have a little bit of a bigger team this year. They have 2 teams in this mixed event, which is very exciting to see.
Nice advantage right now for Sweden.
Yeah, pretty decent through the middle section there. Just building on that lead a little bit. Oh, big mistake there out of 13, but a good correction. Just got it back online here.
Well done. Let's see what this advantage is. It is 1.14 seconds to Johanna Kohala, cousin of the brother and sister team we're going to see a little later on. Johanna, the youngest athlete in today's competition at 18 years old. And she says about her favorite track, which, by the way, is Bludenz in Austria. She says, I like the rhythm and feeling in the track. And that sounds kind of funny, but that's very real. That's really what success is all about, is how you feel when you're on that sled, on that track.
Yeah, 100%. That's what luge is basically all about. It's about rhythm, it's about feeling, it's about relaxing. There's really no visual cues that you're using to drive your sled. You're going a lot off of feeling those pressures and matching your driving with how strong you need to drive through those pressures. Some big mistakes here in the bottom. Let's hope that she can sit up and hit the pad. When she does, she gets it.
This area right before the finish curve is proving to be decisive in this race, and it was really kind of benign in all of the other races so far. Sweden, number 2 in third place.
Oh, some one runner action out of 13 there, but got his feet down and got the sled stabilized, which is, it's hard to do when you're so out of control out of a corner like that.
Nice exit of 13. The problems occurred just after this spot. And right now it's Romania first, then Norway, Sweden, and the Finland-Estonia team in 4th place. And a little correction. Hendrik writes in, messages in to correct us that Finland is not necessarily considered a Scandinavian country. It's a Nordic country. So we got the record set straight. Thanks, Hendrik. Now, a combo team of Japan and Ireland. Here is Seiya Kobayashi, 22nd place, I should say, earlier today. Not too bad for the Japanese slider, who is I believe he's training or traveling with the Americans this year.
Yeah, he is traveling alongside the Americans, which I think is cool. Cool to see when some of the smaller nations are sort of joining forces and using some resources of the bigger teams. Looks fairly relaxed on his sled through the middle section here. He's got his head pushed back, bit of a later entrance to 9 and a big skid. He did well to correct that in time there. Pretty nice transition, 12 to 13, but some big mistakes. Some of the mistakes we've seen all day here on the exit of 13. Just too high, too late in the corner.
Fortunately, no one's hurt, but if they were, there would be a doctor in the house, because here's Elsa Desmond, an emergency room doctor, now living in Iceland, representing Ireland, and trouble right on the start ramp.
Yeah, it looked like she slipped a little bit on one of her paddles and had a bit of a rough lie down there, just hitting that right wall. But honestly, it's difficult when you make a mistake at the start to get it back online. It sort of shakes your confidence a little bit going into the rest of the run, but Elsa's got it back under control. Elsa
committed to taking part in all of the World Cup races, or at least through the World Championships this year. She also is doing a little bit of coaching and mentoring in hopes of getting some younger Irish athletes involved in the sport.
Yeah, it's exciting to see. Elsa's definitely very committed to growing the Irish team, and she's mentoring some of the younger athletes, which is very inspiring to see. And she hits the pad there.
Looks like she had to make a little adjustment from right hand to left hand to catch that pad.
Yeah, I was actually talking to her earlier in the week. Some of these smaller nations have never, since they don't participate in the relay, they've never hit the paddle before. So majority of them, their first time ever was just in the training session that we had earlier in this week. So they'll be looking to sort of refine that as we go through the rest of the season with this new event.
There's Elsa's issue, a little bit problem. Maybe the settle was a little too firm. She went off course pretty quickly there, and then the quick tap down, but otherwise not a bad exit. So Kobayashi and Desmond, Japan, Ireland. We're not sure how they're going to work those World Cup points. Do they get half? Does that nation get half? See, it's still a big mystery to us. I said we'd have this cleared up by the men's race. Now I'll say we'll have it cleared up by the next mixed team event in Oberhof. Another mixed team. This is probably not a full-time permanent mixed team, but at least this week they get the advantage, the opportunity here. Josef Ninnis, the veteran from Slovakia, will team up with Argentina's Veronika Ravenna. But I know there are some women Slovakian competitors on the circuit, right?
Yeah, I believe so. It's interesting to see here that they are not competing as a full team, but gives opportunity for Veronika to participate in this race.
0.2 of a second up. Romania still holding on to the top spot. Cretu and Buzatoy.
Had his feet down a little bit there in the transition between 12 and 13. But managed it very well. Looks pretty relaxed on his sled.
The only 5-time Olympian in the luge world these days. Josef Ninnis hits the paddle. Veronika Ravenna Born in Argentina, has made her home and done her training out of Whistler, Canada, where the World Championships will be this year. Veronica had a pretty tame crash, but a costly one during the Nations Cup.
Yeah, I'm sure that was disappointing for Veronica to not qualify for the race yesterday, but I'm sure that she's going to put down a good run here and leave this track hopefully happier than she was yesterday. She's a little bit offline through the labyrinth there, but she's looking like she's getting it back on track for the bottom section.
Veronica was showing some great improvement last year and finishing in the teens in a couple of races, if I recall. There she is, good form around these last few curves. Now the uphill to hit that paddle. First time ever, so that's exciting for all of these small nations to get this opportunity. And you probably are a little more nervous than the experienced countries when it comes to hitting the paddle.
Definitely. I think the paddle adds a very unique challenge because your run is not over once you cross the traditional finish line. So it's kind of giving you something else to think about during your run. But she did a great job. Both of them did. They nailed that. Nice exit of 13 for Veronica too. She looks relaxed through this transition.
Smiles all around. Josef Ninnis, Veronica Ravenna, currently in, what place do we have them in? Slovakia. I'm trying to read. They're not updating this yet. Oh, in the lead. It's been a long weekend. Hey, this uniform looks a little like the Canadian uniform, but it's China. Number 1, Zhenyu Bao, Hulian Hu will be the teammate. Zhenyu first to go. Just moments ago, Slovakia, Argentina finally took Romania out of the leader's box.
Yeah, their teammates here had a little bit of a challenging go in the first run, but let's hope that they can put it down the hill straight and hit the paddle at the bottom.
This season's World Cup will conclude in late February in Beijing. Have you ever competed there?
I have not. I would love to go to the track in China. I'd love to go to Korea. Unfortunately, we are not attending the Asian races this year.
Even if you win the World Championship? or contending for the World Cup overall by then?
Maybe that would be a different story. But at this time, we're not planning on attending, unfortunately. But hopefully it's back on the calendar in the next couple of years and we'll have another opportunity.
Clean hit of the paddle, but big deficit for Hulian Hu. She had a 24th place finish in yesterday's women's singles competition.
Yeah, quite far off the pace here, just under 2 seconds.
This is likely going to put them maybe in the 5th place area. They'll be ahead of the other Chinese team, depending on what happens here.
Yeah, clean exit of 13. That was pretty nice. Did that well. Looking relaxed in these transitions down here, but unfortunately, it's a big deficit that you're trying to make up.
24-year-old Hulian Hu hits the paddle, 4th place, just under 2 seconds behind the leading team from Slovakia and Argentina.
You can see some big mistakes up here in the labyrinth. Just sitting up a little bit on his sled. It's difficult when you're feeling uncomfortable like that. Sometimes your issues, small issues, can become bigger issues. It's very easy for stuff like that to spiral.
China will be on hand for most of the World Cup this year as they'll pack up the sleds now and head to Austria. So far 8 down, and our 9th starter, the team from Poland, Maciej Sokovic and Klaudia Damradzka. The EBERSPA Luge World Cup, the team event presented by CHER.
To the green right away here. That was a pretty solid start.
Matthias has had some good runs over the course of his career. Not a lot of consistency, and he's battled some injuries.
Yeah, looking pretty good through the top section, but already losing a little bit of time. Very late entrance to curve 10 there, sort of sitting up on his sled and looking a little bit uncomfortable. Nice transition, 12-13. Sticks that exit of 13, that's what we want to see.
700 behind.
Nice exit. Nice hit of the paddle. Within a second for Claudia Domorodska, so it's all given away now. Oh, man. That is something we really haven't seen all weekend in any race. And Caitlin, I've got to wonder whether it's the new effort of waiting for that to open and maybe some of the added tension and anticipation that accompanies the gate opening that caused the problem.
100%. The reaction start is definitely a different component to start. Most people, I would say, especially the women, they're not pulling reaction starts. They're not used to that movement. And yeah, I'd say it's probably a little bit of the nerves, the anticipation kicking in. Hopefully she's okay. That was a pretty big hit there, but she did well to get back on her sled. And, you know, there's not really any recovering from that in terms of time, but she'll just be looking to have a clean rest of the run. And
of course, yeah, of course, the lack of speed, in this case 70 miles per hour, sometimes creates a cleaner run the rest of the way. But Matthias shrugs his shoulders. What can you do? Claudia seems okay. In fact, that shoulder seems just fine. I love the attitude of you lugers often. You know, there's disappointment and there's head shaking, but there's also the passion of being out there doing this.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we're all just here, you know, to race, to have fun, and sometimes bad weekends happen, but you've got to be able to shake that off and get back out there. Wow, holy, that was a big hit there, though.
I'm not even sure if you could tell us what creates that. Is it pulling with one arm too much other than the other?
It's hard to say. I think there's a lot of things that can play into going a little bit crooked at the start. Like you said, maybe coming out of your pull a little bit crookedly, slipping on a paddle, just general instability through the rest of the start.
Claudia's got a great attitude out there today, despite what was one of the more spectacular looking crashes of the weekend. Now starters number 10, the second team from Ukraine. The Ukraine 1 still coming up in just a moment, but here's Andre Monzi, Elena Stetskiv. Elena, who we'll see in a moment, the busiest woman in the sport this weekend. This will be her fourth race. But Andre first up, coming off of a 20th place finish earlier today. He just made it on the number in the first run and then stayed and held that spot in 20th.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be happy to have qualified for the second run in the men's race. He's already in the red here, but he had a little bit of a rough start. You could see him kind of swerving back and forth on that start ramp, which is not really what you want to see. It's looking relaxed through the bottom of the labyrinth, though. Good transition, 10-11. Can maybe hear he might have had his feet down there a little bit. A bit of a skid.
Oh, wow, that happened quickly. And this is low enough on the track where even if he gets on that sled, he doesn't have a chance.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's going to come to a stop here. The gate is not going to open for Elena, which is disappointing. But it happens. He almost got it back online coming out of 13, but sometimes it catches you by surprise.
And it happens to anyone. There's no doubt about that. Well, Elena will not get her 4th competitive run, but little to complain about because she had a pretty busy weekend. Women's doubles and women's singles and mixed doubles.
Wow, she's competing in every event.
She and Wolfie.
Yeah, she's Superwoman. That's super cool.
And maybe Zana, I think, as well. Is Zana no, she's not in this race.
Yeah, you can see right here. Sorry, he went in fairly middle there into 13 and didn't get under those drives, having a lot of pressure late in the corner, and unfortunately just led to him flipping off the end. Not even so much of a flip, more of just a slide off of his sled.
It's been a good run for Team Slovakia-Argentina. They feel for their fellow competitors, of course, but a good showing relative to their start position. They've picked off a couple. Really don't need a fire today. It's a warm day in northern Italy. This is one of 7 nations that will be hosting international races. From here, we head to Austria, then Germany before the break. Then after the break, there'll be races in Latvia, races in Canada, South Korea, and China. What a tour.
Yeah, I think maybe with the addition of a couple in Germany as well in the second half, we're all over the place this year, but it's good to see there's a lot of variety in the tracks that we're going to be racing on.
Svante was briefly iced there as a result of the Manzi crash, but now he's getting ready to go, and this is one of 2 brother-sister teams in today's maiden event for the mixed singles relay. So Svante will pair it up with Tova, who's waiting at the women's start.
I think that's so cool to see. Luge is definitely a family sport. There's a lot of history, I think, of people having cousins or daughters of people that have done really well. You can see in Nina's case, Armin Zogler is her dad. There's a lot of
Hannah Prock.
Exactly.
There have been races, and we still have a little bit of a hold, but to that point, I've covered races where in the top 10 were Hannah Prock, Nina Zogler, and Victoria Demchenko, all the daughters of 3 athletes who I think combined for 11 Olympic medals.
It's incredible to see.
Some good aggressive paddling by Svante Koala, who finished 19th earlier today in men's singles. His sister Tova just missed out, making run number 2 yesterday in women's singles by just about a few hundredths of a second.
Yeah, Svante had a good second run in the men's race, so he's going to be looking to hopefully improve on that. He's gone into the red here, but I think there's still opportunity to make that up in the bottom of the track. He's a 10th back.
We're really getting a sense of how good a run Josef Ninnis had, and Veronica did well for her own right too. So this is why Slovakia and Argentina is staying out on top. Oh, good quick correction there.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks like he's fighting the sled a little bit through the bottom of the track here, but he's done well to keep it on line and be hitting the pad.
Pretty good reaction by Tova. So now on ice, the sister. 22nd place finish in the women's singles race.
Tova always slides with great position. You can see that she's pushing her head very far back. She's really letting the sled run, which is what you want to see. It's how you gain speed in these top corners.
I know from years of covering bobsled, they say it's not the person who drives the most, it's the person who drives the least. Is that true in luge?
Yes, definitely. Every time you're driving, your runners are digging into the ice, they're cutting ice, and that is effectively slowing you down. So the main goal, I'd say, is to drive as little as you can and maintain a good line.
Team Sweden, Team Koala, they're in the red. They stay in the red, but the closest pursuers so far to Ninnis and Ravenna. Second place, a quarter of a second in back of the lead.
Yeah, I think that's really a testament to how well
Josef and Veronica?
Absolutely. Slid, right? I wonder, maybe we can start to think about a little bit of track degradation now, but it's still early on in the race. I think That was not the best start corner from Tove, so it could be a culmination of things.
Top 10 would be incredible for the team from Slovakia and Argentina. But this is a great sight here, brother and sister. Very exciting on this historic day, the first day ever for this mixed doubles and singles competitions on the FIL Luge World Cup. Now, Ukraine #1, Anton Dukash, a very respectable 14th place finish earlier today. And Juliana Tanitska, another one of those athletes, Caitlin, that has been around for a while, but she's still, I think Juliana's 21. I'll look that up.
Yeah, I believe she's 21. I think she's an 03 as well, like me. And yeah, it seems like she's been around for a long time.
It's like Trinity. I mean, Trinity was first on the World Cup at what, 17?
I think she was 16, actually.
And when you and Natalie raced in the men's doubles race, how old were you?
We were 16 as well, so there's definitely been a lot of people that have debuted at a young age and, you know, are in their early 20s, but it seems like they've been around for a long time.
Dukash, just 1400ths in back of Josef Ninnis right now. Not a bad exit. Quick little readjustment out of 13 as he gets ready for these finish curve combinations.
Yeah, an all right bottom section for him, but I would say he's probably not going to be happy with his labyrinth section. I think that's where he lost the majority of his time. Very quick reaction time from Juliana there, 2.14.
Had to be.
That is the fastest reaction start we have seen so far by about a 10.
Right, she turned 1700ths behind into the green in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds.
Yeah, absolutely. That I think in the test event, Emily had the fastest reaction start time with a 1-1. So she was a
she's
1-4.
learned from Tucker.
Yeah, she's already in the green and she's building. So that's very exciting to see.
Actually, the last 2 intervals were roughly the same. So this will be very telling down here. Anything can happen now. 12 into 13.
That was a great
well done. Yeah, very well done. Ukraine will take over the lead as the pad is hit just 700ths of a second. Anton gave that look like he wasn't yet sure.
Yeah, he looked like she was fighting all the way to the end for that one for sure.
Now the race could get close. It could get interesting. Just 700ths. We've seen races won by 0.02 of a second in the 4-person team relay, which is remarkable.
Yeah, 2,000ths over 4 different athletes.
Or 4 sleds, yeah.
3 sleds is pretty crazy. Yeah, still very impressive reaction time from Juliana. That was awesome to see. And a beautiful exit of 13, honestly. Very, very nice run from her.
It'd be great to watch this in super slow motion and just see of that 700ths they won by, how much of that was gained just by that reaction time.
Yeah, it'll be cool to look at the splits after this.
First of 2 from Latvia that we'll see in today's competition. Latvia #2, Kaspars Rinks. A little later on, we've got his partner, Alina Bota. So that means Gintz did not qualify. So Kaspars finished 16th earlier today. And Berzinch, who won gold at the Youth Olympic Games, not here, that was Aprio, but he did not make it onto this first team relay.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how different nations choose their athletes for these events. Some teams do highest finish place, some teams do fastest run time. So it just depends on how they've written their policies, but they're in the green here. Not by much though.
Pretty good lines.
Nice exit out of 13.
It's almost like that curve's getting a little easier late in the race. Hitting the pad to open up the gate for Alina, formerly Vitola Bota. Congratulations, Alina, on her marriage over the summer. Her husband we'll see in just a moment on the other Latvian team in doubles. Seemed like pretty good reaction time from someone who traditionally is very strong starter.
Yeah, all the Latvians are very fast at the start, and she had a beautiful top section there, just building on that lead as well. Almost like half a second.
We're about midway through this mixed singles competition. Still ahead, the Austrians, the Americans, the Italians, and of course the two German teams.
This has been a great run so far. I think she's going to be very happy with this, and we should see the lead extend even further.
This will be a big advantage. Latvia out in front by better than a half second, just when we thought the margins were getting slimmer. Latvia 2 over Ukraine, and then the combined mixed team of Slovakia and Argentina sits in third place. We've had 13 come down, 10 remain here in this first ever event.
Yeah, both of them had great exits out of 13. I think two pretty decent runs as a whole. They should both be very happy with that.
Latvia leading the way there, they are. And now we get set for our final mixed team, and I think it's safe to say, Caitlin, this is the duo that most of the people have been focusing on when they introduced this new format with different countries. Alex Ferlazzo, Natalie Mogg are both very decorated athletes in their respective disciplines and singles from their respective countries. In fact, Natalie is a world championship medalist. They've never had the opportunity to race in a team event. So here we go. Let's see what they can do in their first ever race.
Yeah, Alex didn't have his best runs this morning, so he's definitely going to be looking to improve on that performance. He looks good on his sled. Alex is a great athlete. Like you said, both of them very, very well accomplished, and I'm very excited for them. I think that they could do quite well in this event.
Alex, who's currently training with Caitlin's Canadian team, he stayed behind. His sled stayed behind just so he could enjoy this special competition. Falls a little behind Rinks right here of Latvia.
Wasn't the cleanest middle section for Alex, but he's done well to just... Wow, he lost some more time in the bottom there, but we'll see if maybe Natalie can make this up.
Quarter of a second disadvantage for Natalie Mogg, who finished 11th yesterday in women's singles. Aside from her world championship podium, she has had, I believe, 2 World Cup podiums in her career. Did not seem like a big, a terrific reaction time, but that's only looks. That was, visual may mean nothing.
I mean, I feel like with the reaction time, it's if somebody looks fast, then normally they are fast.
Okay. Okay.
But I didn't see the time there either. It was too quick. But she looks like she's having a pretty decent run. The Latvians both laid down good runs, though. So.
That's right. And, you know, Natalie picked up a lot of time down at the bottom of the track to hold that disadvantage to only 0.3 of a second. I think it was close to a half second near the top of the track.
Yeah. I'm not sure how happy Alex is going to be with his run. Natalie looked pretty, she was smiley at the bottom. I'm sure they're both excited to be participating. That was a great exit of 13. She looks very relaxed, but this is their first weekend competing as a team. And
I think they said they're committed to the entire season together.
Yeah, can only go up from here.
Well, congratulations to anyone in this race that gets the opportunity to take part in a mixed team event for the first time ever. And with 2 from other nations, some of these other athletes, even if they're sliding within their teammates, are getting their first ever. I think Leon probably has never done a mixed team event. I should have asked him yesterday, but Dominic has had such a monopoly on that over the years. This is great for Leon Felderer as well, as he teams up with Verena Hoffa.
I think Leon may have actually raced the relay at the Olympics because I think Dominic was sick.
Even though he took a medal in his race, that might be, yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. So I think Leon actually has had the opportunity to compete in a couple relay events. But this is a completely new discipline, and there's more opportunity to compete even if you have someone that's kind of dominating that top spot. There's a second opportunity, which I think is great for more athletes to get experience.
Hey folks, you can't fool Caitlin Nash because I just looked this up. Leon finished 5th with Team Italy at the Beijing Olympics in the relay.
This has been a pretty all right run for Leon. He's still in the red here, but the Latvians, both of them laid down excellent runs, so I wouldn't be surprised if you see them climb up the ranks a little bit here.
Climb up the rinks or the ranks?
Yeah, another fast reaction time there as well from Verena. So she'll be looking to sort of build on that. We'll see if maybe they can chip away at the lead from the Latvians.
It was about 0.2 of a second at that last interval. Here we go with the clock. It's doubled now at 0.4. Will need to be perfect, or maybe more to the point, Alina was perfect down at the bottom.
Yeah, 0.4 and kind of losing a little bit of time. I'm not sure if there's enough track for her to make this up, but she's had an all right run. She's looking pretty good through the bottom here.
To the finish, they cross the traditional finish line, hits the pad. She lost a little bit more down at the bottom, keeping it within a half second. 3rd place at the moment for Italy, number 2. So top 5, Latvia. Then the mixed team of Australia and Switzerland. Italy 2, Ukraine 1, and in 5th, Slovakia, Argentina.
It's so nice to see everybody smiling at the bottom here. I think everyone's really enjoying, hopefully, this new event. And
Luge is a social world to begin with. So any opportunity to get all of these athletes together down at the finish area, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree. Everybody's pretty connected, and it's a smaller sport, so you kind of have to be. There's lots of camaraderie between teams and between athletes.
Each lost out to their Latvian competitors by about 0.2 of a second. Now, our second sibling pair, both of whom have been on the World Cup podium in their careers. And this man here, Krister Zaprajods, 8 years ago on this very track, he won the 2nd biggest race ever held here, the Youth Olympics. He won the gold medal. Kristers comes off a spectacular World Cup season, a breakout season in which he finished 2nd place in the World Cup overall points.
Yeah, Kristers is coming off of a great season, and he looks good on his sled. I feel like there's not really a weekend where he's, having a lot of difficulty. So I would not be surprised to see them move in front of this other Latvian team. I spoke too soon, actually, making me eat my words.
And Kristers finished 9th earlier today, Candia 12th yesterday, which probably in both instances is a little lower than they would have expected, or most of us would have.
Yeah, I'm sure they probably were a little bit disappointed with that result. They're normally sort of contending in the top 6.
Let's see how close it is. Teammates here at paddle, just 0.02 of a second. It is Kendia Apariod now. Her brother is done. She's chasing down her teammate Alina Bota.
She came in the 9th place last
Yeah, pretty decent reaction time from her as well.
Both of these have a lot more team relay experience than Alina and Kasper's do.
Alina was fast through that top section, though. You can already see Kendia is almost 0.2 back here. But
Now 15.
Yeah, the gap is closing. We'll see here.
Looks pretty secure that it's going to be Latvia 1-2. It's just a question of whether it's 1-2 or 2-1. And in a moment, we'll know. 145.789, the two sled combined time to beat. and they fall behind by just 0.04 of a second. That was a remarkably close race for top to bottom, both sleds.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth there. In the runs, you can kind of see sort of the times where maybe Alina or Casper's, the parts of the track where they did better, and then sort of they chipped away at that time, but ultimately, yeah, very close at the bottom, only 0.04.
Business as usual for Krister, as he made that look easy, just sitting up casually and touching the pad.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of relay experience really at all, but it's difficult. I think people maybe underestimate how hard it is to time that.
Brother-sister combination number 2 in today's race. We saw Sweden a little earlier. They're currently in 7th place. This team from Latvia in 2nd. And now the first of 2 from the United States. Tucker West finished 12th earlier today in the World Cup race with a disappointing 2nd run. But in the first run, Caitlin, he set a record.
Yeah, start record. I feel like Tucker is one of the fastest in the world at the start pretty consistently. In the second run, he did have a bit of a mishap. But it's in the green here, so we'll see how he matches up through this top section.
All things being considered, it's been a pretty good weekend for the USA with a victory and 2 other podiums in the earlier races.
Yeah, I think they're holding the track record as well in a couple of the...
yeah, both start record in men and track record with women.
Yeah, that's really cool to see. The U.S. are kind of dominating in a couple of those events right now.
Tucker's going to hand Summer a bit of a deficiency here. 1400s back at the last split. Together, Tucker West and Summer Britcher have captured 8 World Cup gold medals in their singles careers. Lots of medals in team relay. And Summer is, how far back did you catch that?
I didn't see there. I saw her reaction time was a 1.8. It wasn't as fast as either of the Latvian women. Still not bad.
I think it was 1500ths behind at that start split. So let's see, coming up here, half second. I may have been wrong with that 1500ths, but Summer Britcher seems to be losing a lot of time, but with what appears to be pretty clean lines.
Yeah, we're getting later in the start list as well now. We can maybe think that the track could possibly be slowing down a little bit.
700.
Summer has won on this track in the World Cup. Skidding a bit down here at the finish. All she can do to catch that paddle in the center, and she does, but wow, they fall back several spots. Again, this is a 1-run race, but falling back relative to where their start order was, and Summer visibly upset here.
Yeah. Looking frustrated there. Definitely not the cleanest bottom section from Summer. You can see that there was a mistake coming out of 16 as well, which is pretty consequential because it's going uphill. Definitely not the showing that they were looking for.
Right, these two came up together, made the Olympics, surprise to some, back in 2014. They're 3-time Olympians. As I said, 8 World Cup wins between them. So I didn't pick up on mistakes. You must have, Caitlin. It looked good, but the time just kept bleeding.
Yeah, that's the tricky thing with this track, with the flatter upper section in the labyrinth. Like, any little mistakes, they really start to add up. You can see Summer had a big mistake in the bottom there, going pretty late into 16. All of that is just going to cost you.
All things considered, a good weekend for Summer Britcher with a 6th place yesterday. Now the second of the 2 teams from Italy. Italy number 1, Dominik Fischnaller, a 2-time World Cup winner on this track, Olympic bronze medalist. Earlier today, a 6th place finish for Dominik, who was in 4th after the first run, and he was one of those we thought might sneak onto the podium in run number 2. And he had a good run, but it was late in the run.
Yeah, it was late in the run. He's having a pretty good run here so far, and that was a bit of a later entrance to 12, but He's managing it well.
He always makes it look relaxed and easy on the sled. I've said this for years about Dominic. And now the Südtirolian circles around the finish to the left, straight up to the pad, hits it. Nothing has been remotely close to missing a pad. And Sandra Robacha, a one-time World Cup winner, on course, 10th place yesterday in women's singles. Once again coming back from injury. This has happened several times in Sandra's career.
Yeah, I think it's good for Sandra to be back here. She's, had a bit of a rough past couple seasons recovering from injury, but it's nice to see her back in racing. Yesterday, I think she was 10th, so working her way back up the ranks a little bit.
They are behind the Latvians. Will they be behind both Latvians is the question. Only 400 separate first and second. Will we see a 3 here? Italy around to the finish in third place, 146.004. Tell me about the track. What do you think, Caitlin?
I feel like we could definitely be starting to see the tracks slowing down. You can kind of see a little bit some of those lines in the ice. That sort of indicates that maybe there's some frost building up. It is a warm day today. And yeah, these people that are later in the start list are definitely going to be impacted by track conditions.
Latvia holding down still the top 2 positions in the leaderboard. 5 sleds remain. Latvia's had a good weekend. They've been on the podium. And then the other 3 nations that have made up the podium finishers still to come. 2 from Austria, 2 from Germany, 1 from the USA. And here's Austria number 2, Nico Gleischer. Nico 7th place earlier today. He teams up with the surprising Barbara Allmeyer, who on Friday captured the Nations Cup race. I believe she won the Nations Cup, right?
Yeah, she won the Nations Cup.
And then yesterday had a 4th place finish in the World Cup.
Yeah, I'm sure very exciting for her. Congratulations. I think that she laid down 2 very awesome runs. I think both that she's had a lot of good training here. She looked very good on the sled, and it's clearly paying off.
Nico with 5, I believe, World Cup wins in his career. I'll check that out in a second. No, I got that wrong. Just 3 World Cup wins, 1 of them in the sprint. But among all 4 Austrian men in the World Cup, I think there are double-digit World Cup wins. Some good depth in this program. 1/10 of a second right now is the disadvantage. Austria, like the USA this week, has shown quite a bit of speed down at the bottom of the track.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to build as much speed as he can right now. See, yeah, gained a little bit there at the bottom.
1800ths of a disadvantage for Barbara Allmeyer.
Not the fastest change time from her, but she looks relaxed and she has her head back here in the top section. She's just going to be looking to let it fly.
Which she's done successfully all weekend long. Allmeyer, just 20 years old, from nearby Eagles in the small town of Hull. Wow, I think we're starting to see a slower track on the way down, to take nothing away from Alina Bota's run for the leading Latvians, but Barbara looks pretty good on the sled.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're starting to see some adverse track conditions coming into play. She's losing she built some time up there through the bottom.
Find some.
But
right, 3rd place.
Yeah, they're still, I think, lost more than we would probably typically see if they had gone maybe a little bit earlier in the start order.
Latvia 2, Latvia 1, Austria 2. That's the top 3 at the moment with 4 teams remaining. This is Nico. Great form, keeping that head back.
Yeah, he looks nice and relaxed on the sled there. I think maybe you can see Barbara, her visor strap, I don't think was on the Velcro there, but did not affect her.
You don't think it cost her 45 thousandths of a second and that would have put them in the lead?
Absolutely not.
Congratulations to Austria, the completion of their first mixed team singles competition, but it is a quartet of Latvians holding down the top 2 positions. And now we have the first of 2 from Germany. Germany number 2, Felix Loch. Felix captured what was probably his 6 millionth podium earlier today, a 3rd place in the men's singles competition. Of course, he was in that patented Felix start position a little earlier in run number 2, which let him pick off some others, but he did it with some great driving. Can he hang on this late now in this mixed team event?
Yeah, I feel like that's becoming like a signature move of his to sort of climb spots in the second run.
But it was a track record. Look at this, 2/1000ths of a second now separating Felix Loch from Kasper's Rinks. Who would have thought?
Yeah, losing a little bit more time. It'll be really gaining it back though. It'll be interesting to see what happens in these final corners of the track.
Now, of these final sleds, these elite sleds, perhaps the least experienced here in Lillehammer is this woman, Mirla Frebel. 5th place yesterday. Mirla is good. She has won a World Cup race already in her young career in Oberhof. Let's see what she can do to keep Germany at least in the hunt for a medal.
It's a pretty good top section for Merle.
Falling into the red now, 900ths. And that's it. That's the last stoppage we'll see. Oh no, 123. We'll see one more stoppage here. How are they trending? Not too good. At this point, Caitlin, it looks like a combination of the track and Alina and Kasper's doing an amazing job for Latvia too.
Yeah, they kind of had the benefit of a good start number in combination with 2 really great runs.
How about that? Even Felix was surprised. We're all surprised. This was red. It was more red. It was even redder. And then at the very end, Germany 2 moves into the lead by 0.04 of a second. Love that reaction by Felix.
We saw that with Felix too. He picked up quite a bit of time in the bottom, just in between that last split there. And then same with Merle. She just nailing the last couple corners of the track and coming up ahead.
And extra, read all about it. Big story. Germany on the podium again in another race. 3 remain, 1 more from Germany, so at least 1 podium spot is guaranteed for Team Deutschland.
That was a beautiful exit of 13.
Well, and she needed that, right? Because she was falling further behind the Latvians. Look at this reaction. That was incredible.
So happy. Still holding onto his sled too.
Germany, Loch and Frebel in first place right now in this very first mixed team singles event presented by Skechers. And now the USA's last shot for their 4th podium position of the weekend. Johnny Gustafsson had a terrific Nations Cup on the podium. He had a very good career tying best men's singles earlier today, 5th place. Johnny's usually pretty fast at the start, but early right now in the red behind Felix Loch.
Yeah, I think that was an awesome showing from Johnny in the men's race this morning. It's very exciting, definitely, to put down a career best or matching your career best finish. So
his other 5th place finish was in the opening race last year. So he'll head down to Austria saying, can I keep it together and be more consistent all year long? 1200s. The idea is to keep it close because Emily Sweeney certainly has the potential to dig into a deficit.
Yeah, pretty nice bottom section from Johnny. I think he was a little bit offline in the labyrinth, but nothing super consequential going on.
That's a lot to ask of Emily, 3400s, and she doesn't have the straightest line there. Did she in that start ramp?
Yeah, not the straightest down the start ramp. I do still think she got it turned in nicely into the start corner, but definitely gonna eat into your start time a little bit if you're not going straight down that ramp.
The track record holder from the United States, she has changed the tide a little bit, hasn't she?
Yeah.
2/10 now.
She's chipping away at that lead a little bit quickly here. We might see Emily come into the green here.
This is going to be fun to watch the last few curves. Emily Sweeney has found something special down at the bottom of this Lillehammer track. Can it be enough to move into the green? USA versus Germany. She is indeed. And yes,
nice.
by 49 thousandths of a second. So Johnny Gustafson wins his first ever World Cup medal. And Emily Sweeney concludes a magical weekend.
That was a beautiful run from Emily. She's on fire right now. She looked great in the bottom section of that track. And, you know, she started with a 3/10 deficit. She made up a lot of time there.
Now, I may be mistaken. Johnny may have won at least one podium in the team relay because the USA seems to do that every week. But what a great weekend for Emily as well. For both of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, it didn't look perfect there, did it? Quick correction. That's a veteran.
Yeah, that was a nice correction from Emily. I don't think that would have had much of an effect on anything there.
Caitlin, I wouldn't blame the Americans if they decided they didn't want to leave Lillehammer. I mean, this has been a good track for them over the years, and especially in this World Cup opener for the 24-25 season.
Yeah, they've been excelling in every discipline all weekend.
And Emily doing it with her parents on hand.
Yeah, I'm sure they're so proud. I'm sure it's very special for her to have them be here watching her.
Busiest man on track, especially since Stetskiv didn't get her fourth run. Wolfie does. Wolfie Kindle not only racing for the fourth time this weekend, but doing it with 2 podiums already chalked up in men's doubles and men's singles. Austria #1, he'll team up with the world champion, Lisa Schulte.
He looks great through this top section. He's got his head pushed way back. Very ideal aerodynamic position.
6,000ths of a second up on Gustafson right now. And let's see if he can open it up in this short little interval. Yes, 500ths.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was the cleanest there on the exit of 9 going into 10, but he's so relaxed on his sled. He's just taking whatever comes at him.
Let's see the advantage he can give Lisa. A good one, 1/1600ths of a second. But we saw what Emily Sweeney just did, so Lisa has all she can handle to just keep it in the green. The world champion negotiating now the upper part of this track. In the red. Does that surprise you that that happened that quickly? Now back into the green. This is going to be a fun finish, these last few sleds in this first mixed team competition.
Yeah, Emily looked great in the bottom of the track. It's going to be, I think it's going to be close. It's going to be really up to Lisa's exit of 13 here. I wouldn't say that was as clean, but
the line was good, but it was rough.
Exactly, but the Austrians are so fast in the bottom.
It's amazing how it changes colors down here at the final pad. Will it? It does not. It's a 5th place time. That is a little bit of a surprise. So Germany 2 with Felix Loch and Merle Frebel climb back onto the podium. They're guaranteed a spot. The United States is guaranteed at least a top 2. And now we have 2 great champions getting ready to perhaps seal their double gold weekends in Max Langenhahn and Julia Tobitz. Lisa's reaction seemed fine. Her start seemed fine.
Yeah, I'd say like pretty decent run from her. Maybe a little bit too early to 12 there, but honestly, Emily's run was pretty close to perfect. And yeah, Lisa having to correct on the end of 13 a little bit there as well.
This debut World Cup mixed team event presented by Skechers boils down to our final sled. On paper and on ice, they are the 2 best in their respective sports. Max Langenhahn, Julia Tobitz, world champions, defending World Cup champions, and both race winners this weekend. All of that is on paper, and now we'll see if they can seal the deal. Double gold for the weekend. Max on course. He finished 4 spots ahead of Johnny Gustafson earlier today, and by a pretty wide margin. So that's what he has to work with to begin with. And we'll see what he does at the 25-second mark.
Max looking good through the top section, I'd say, as per usual, and yeah, building quite a bit of speed now.
Both athletes representing the Thuringian region. The Oberhof track is their home track. Actually, Tobit's originally from Altenburg. Nice job out of 13. He could not have planned that line any better.
Yeah, he nailed that exit of 13. This has been a great run. Would not be surprised to see him pull further ahead. Yeah.
First ever reaction time for Julia Tobitz. She has a big lead to work with. Does a nice job into that start curve. What? Perfect Julia could mean like a 1-second victory over the United States, right?
Yeah, we could very well see them pull even farther ahead here, but it'll be interesting because Emily definitely had a great run.
She did, no question about that. And Julia was mad when they interviewed her after she won the race. She wasn't mad, but she said, "Oh, I really wanted to grab the start or the track record." Perfect line. Now it becomes a victory lap. Can't rest too soon, though. Skids have happened down here, but you don't see skids from Julia Tobitz as Germany locks down a perfect day of victories as they win this mixed team debut singles event. Max Langenhahn, Julia Tobitz. I believe the second fastest time for Julia behind Emily for the second day in a row in the second run. But a victory for Team Germany.
Sauber. Bei dir auch? Ja.
Really, this is as close to perfection. If I'm the two of them, I hang together all season long. I mean, Anna Bierreiter will have something to say about it. Certainly Mirla, Felix, it's going to be fun to see how these German athletes, all of whom are capable of winning every weekend, how they set it all up at these mixed team events.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see. Now they have a little bit of added excitement for them, competing for maybe 2 spots on a weekend that has a mixed event instead of 1. Just turning up the heat for them a little bit more.
Final standings, first time ever this event presented by Skechers. We have a Germany 1 victory. USA 1 in second, Germany number 2. The Latvians held on to the top spots for a while. They have 4th and 5th, then the Austrians and Italy. These are the big nations in the sport of luge, if you've been paying attention. And the top 10, USA number 2. But as predicted, Alex and Natalie have a top 10 finish, and they'll look to improve on that. Good showing, of course, for all of these combo teams. Lots of fun for them. But Caitlin, I think the weekend belonged to Germany, continuing its dominance. Austria having medals in just about all of the competitions, not all of them. The USA with gold, 2 silvers, and a bronze, and a slew of top 10s. So those nations come out as the stars of the opening weekend.
Absolutely. Definitely a great showing from all of them. Some very strong performances this weekend. We saw the track record fall in, I think, almost all of the events, and I think it was a great opening weekend to the season.
Unofficially, if you were to add all of the disciplines for Julia Tobitz, this is World Cup win number 28. That's if you take her singles victories, her sprint victories. But this is an entirely different category. So we will chalk it up, and the World Cup points will show up in a second. Fun weekend of sliding. All of these athletes will pack up the gear. The athletes will pick up the gear and they will head to Austria, some tonight, some tomorrow. We'll hope to get some interviews here in a moment. And we'll take another look at some of the top contenders today. Third place for Germany, number 3.
Yeah.
Felix Loch, Mirla Frabel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say dominating performance by the Germans, and then as well with Emily having and Johnny having both 2 great runs to put them in the second position there. I think them breaking up sort of the Germans in the top 3 spots is pretty cool to see.
Guys, congratulations. You won the first mixed singles events. Single winners in the individuals and now mixed events. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. I had, I think, a better run than my second run. And I never saw the parts of Julia, but I think she did also well.
Yeah, of course. I feel pretty, really happy. I had a really good run because yesterday my second run was a little bit bad. And so it's a good end to fly to Innsbruck.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
2 Germans on the podium, sandwiched around the USA team that finished in second place.
Guys, challenging conditions on the track today, but still P2. How do you feel about your performance?
I feel great. It was so much fun. I'm really enjoying this race format. I mean, I know it's a little long, so we'll work on that maybe, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I share the same sentiment. This new race format is really cool. It's really fun to do. It was great. Emily put the backpack on for this race, and I just hopped right in there. She carried us up to second place. It was awesome.
It's not true. You crushed it too.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The humble Johnny Gustafsson with his World Cup podium. And then, of course, one other German team ends up in third place. We're trying to take a look down there if they're going to be set up for the interview. I'm not so certain. We're going to hear from Felix and Mirla. It looks like they might be ushering them in now. There's Felix. There's Mirla. Let's hear what they have to say about their third place finish.
Guys, congratulations on your podium. How much did the teamwork affect your performance today? How was it?
Yeah, a team race is always a little bit difficult. Difficult to the single race, but yeah, it's great to slide together in a team in a competition. So yeah, I think it was a really great weekend. We're going to the third place. Max and Julia won the race. So for the whole German team, yeah, it was a excellent weekend.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And congratulations. Thanks to our German competitors for the English interviews. Very helpful for all our World Feed audience. And thanks very much to Caitlin Nash. It was a debut for you as well. Great job with the commentary. And the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you so much for having me today.
That's Team Canada's Caitlin Nash. Now, unofficially, Germany holds 170 points to lead these World Cup points in this brand new event. The USA, Latvia, and Austria are lurking not too far behind. It should be fun the rest of the way. That's going to wrap up an incredible weekend in Lillehammer. I salute the event organizers, from a spectacular opening ceremonies right to the exciting finish of the final race. It's the start of what will hopefully be a memorable season on the EBERSPA FIL Luge World Cup Tour. Until next week in Innsbruck, for Caitlin and our entire FIL television crew, I'm Tim Singer. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.